If you're over 60 and doing everything you believe is right, eating healthy, avoiding sweets, trying to be careful, but your blood sugar still keeps creeping up, this is for you, because what's happening isn't loud or obvious. Blood sugar often rises quietly day after day while you feel mostly fine. No sharp pain, no clear warning, just small changes that slowly add up. Less energy, blurry vision, tingling feet, numbers that won't settle down. And here's something important you need to hear early. This is not because you're careless or weak. Most people were simply given incomplete advice. The real problem often hides inside a healthy habit you repeat almost every day without thinking. And in the next few minutes, you're going to see why good intentions alone aren't enough to protect blood sugar as the body gets older. For many people, the frustration begins quietly. You clean up your diet. You choose foods that seem safe and responsible. You even cut back on sugar, yet your blood sugar still feels unpredictable. Some days the numbers behave. Other days they jump for no clear reason. That's when doubt creeps in. You start wondering if age has made things harder, or if your body just doesn't respond like it used to. But this isn't random, and it isn't your fault. There's a pattern hiding inside everyday routines that most people never question. It feels normal. It feels harmless. And if it keeps repeating, it can quietly set the tone for your blood sugar long before you realize what's happening. This is where most people never look. In the everyday habit they repeat without thinking, often the same way, at the same time. It's not a bad choice. In fact, many were told it was a smart one. It feels safe, normal, and easy to trust. But here's the part that stops people. The issue isn't the habit itself. It's how the body handles it now compared to years ago. And this is the part almost no one explains. As the body gets older, that same habit can move through the system too fast, pushing blood sugar up before the body can respond. You don't feel it when it happens. You only notice it later, when your morning numbers are higher than expected, and you're left wondering what you did wrong the day before. What makes this risky is how easy it is to miss. As the body gets older, it doesn't catch sugar the way it once did. Muscles pull in less, balance slows down, and sugar that used to clear quickly can stay elevated for hours instead of minutes. This is where people get fooled. You repeat the same habit, feel fine afterward, and assume nothing went wrong. But later, often the next morning, you see higher numbers and can't explain why. That confusion leads to the next mistake, reacting too late and in the wrong way. People start skipping meals, cutting food they don't need to cut, or changing the timing of things that were never the real problem. And that reaction, more than a habit itself, is what quietly keeps blood sugar swinging day after day. This is a mistake that quietly turns one high reading into a daily pattern. After seeing higher numbers, most people react the same way. They eat less, delay meals, or try to be extra careful next time. It feels responsible. It feels logical. But this is where blood sugar logic breaks. When the body goes too long without fuel, especially as the body changes, it becomes more sensitive, not more stable. That's how one higher morning reading turns into a shaky afternoon, and then another surprise spike the next day. Pause for a second. If you've been cutting meals or waiting longer to eat after a high number, this may already sound familiar. And here's the key point. This reaction usually happens hours after the real trigger, which is why fixing the wrong thing never works. Here's the part most people never expect. The real trigger isn't how much you eat. It's how certain fast-digesting healthy foods hit the body when they're eaten alone. These are foods people often grab because they're easy, light, and familiar. Sometimes the first thing to eat, sometimes something they don't think needs pairing. They're often praised as a safe choice, even recommended. But when they move through the body too quickly, blood sugar rises before the body can respond. That's where the spike actually starts. You don't feel it happening. You feel fine afterward. And because the reaction comes later, people keep cutting the wrong meals or blaming the wrong foods. Once you see what the real trigger is, you'll finally understand why nothing else you tried ever worked. For many people, the trigger turns out to be eating fruit by itself, often a banana, an apple, a bowl of berries, or even a smoothie, especially first thing in the morning or as a light snack between meals. Fruit is widely seen as a smart, natural choice, but when it's eaten alone, it can move through the body very fast. That quick rush can push blood sugar up before the body has time to respond. This is why so many careful eaters stay stuck, even when they feel like they're doing everything right. Fruit is often recommended, so it feels safe, but timing and pairing matter more than most were ever told. The fix is not to avoid fruit, it's to stop eating it alone. When fruit is paired with protein or healthy fat, it slows how sugar enters the blood, often turning a spike into a steadier rise. And once you see how to do this in real life, it becomes simple. This is where everything becomes easy. You don't need to remove fruit, you just need to anchor it. For example, instead of eating an apple by itself, Have it with a small handful of nuts or a spoon of peanut butter. If you enjoy berries, add them to yogurt or cottage cheese rather than eating them alone. A banana behaves very differently when it's eaten with eggs or as part of a meal instead of grabbed on its own, especially earlier in the day or as a snack. Even smoothies change when protein or healthy fat is added, slowing how sugar enters the blood. You don't have to do this perfectly, and you don't have to do it every single time. Even doing it most days can make a real difference. These pairings act like gentle brakes, helping blood sugar rise more smoothly. And once you try this, the guessing starts to fade and the numbers begin to feel more predictable. This matters most at moments people rarely think about. Earlier in the day and during snacks, when the body is more sensitive and food hits faster. That's when eating fruit alone is most likely to cause a spike. Later meals often get blamed, but the problem usually started hours before. And there's one common mistake to avoid here: adding fruit after a spike instead of pairing it before it happens. Many people see a high number and then grab fruit by itself, thinking it's light and safe. That often backfires. The smarter move is simple: pair first, then eat. You don't need to track, count, or measure, just pair. When you do this, blood sugar stays steadier, readings make more sense, and you stop chasing numbers all day. If this feels like a relief, that's because it is. Nothing here requires cutting out foods you enjoy or being strict with yourself. You weren't failing. You were just missing one small detail. Blood sugar doesn't need perfection. It needs support. And for many people, that support starts with a simple habit. Don't eat fast-digesting foods alone. Pair them, especially earlier in the day or during snacks, and let the body handle sugar more smoothly. That's it. No tracking, no stress, no chasing your numbers. Just a smarter way to eat that works with the body as it changes. When you focus on pairing instead of restricting, blood sugar stops feeling confusing and starts feeling manageable again. If this helped you see things more clearly, stay with this approach as you move forward. Small adjustments like this work best when they're understood, not forced. And if you want to keep learning how everyday foods and simple habits affect your numbers without fear, confusion, or extremes, then following along here and watching future videos like this can help. You don't need to change everything at once. Over the coming weeks, as you start noticing patterns instead of surprises, confidence naturally builds. The goal isn't control, it's understanding. And when things make sense, taking care of your health feels far less stressful and much more doable. Before you move on with your day, remember this one simple idea. You don't need to fight your body, and you don't need to be perfect. Most of the confusion around your numbers didn't come from bad choices. It came from small details no one explained clearly. When you support your body instead of stressing it, things start to settle. Pair fast-digesting foods with support. Be a little more mindful earlier in the day. Adjust gently, not aggressively. That's how progress actually sticks. This isn't about fixing everything overnight. It's about making your habits work with you as life changes. And when you keep things simple and steady, managing your health stops feeling overwhelming and starts feeling possible. If this video helped you or cleared up something that's been confusing for a while, you can support the channel in a simple way. A like helps more people see this. Subscribing keeps you connected to future videos like this, and sharing it with someone who might need it can genuinely help them. That's how this kind of calm, practical information reaches the people it's meant for. Thank you for being here and taking the time to learn.